The founder and the first Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, Osman was born in 1258 in Sogat, near Bursa. He was one of the three sons of Ertugrul Ghazi, and his mother was Lady Halima. Osman Ghazi was only 23 years old when he took the control of Kai clan in Sogat, and then ascended the throne after the death of his father, ruling for 27 years until his death in 1326. After his ascension to throne, he gathered several Turkmen groups around himself and fought against Byzantines, collaborating with Alauddin Kuyubad, one of the Seljuks. When the Seljuk Empire remained rulerless after the exile of Alauddin, Osman Ghazi reunited them under his rule in 1299, marking the history as the foundation of the Ottoman Empire. Osman Ghazi continued his campaigns against the remaining Byzantine Empire in the area along with his brothers, sons, and close supporters. He cut the Byzantine trade routes, forcing local rulers to surrender. After 1320 he got sick, so his sons continued to fight, capturing many towns from the Byzantines. He died of gout at the age of 68 in Sogat and buried in the city of Bursa. During his rule, he married Lady Malhan first, from which he had a son, Osman Ghazi, who later became the next sultan. After Lady Malhan he married Lady Bala, from which another son, Alauddin, was born, who became his grand vizier when grown up. He had a total of 8 sons and 1 daughter. Osman Ghazi was nicknamed as Kara, which according to an ancient Turkmen tradition signifies brave and heroic person. He was a tall man with a broad and high chest and long arms, dark tan, round face with a thin beard and long thick mustache, ram nose, hazel eyes, thick eyebrows, had deep and fine voice, expert on horse riding, sword using, and battle strategies. He was fair, helped very much to the poor people, even giving them his own clothes if he saw a person in need. Besides military actions, Osman Ghazi also established all new measures to form a new empire, such as bringing new laws based on Seljuk laws as well, adopting taxes, minting the first Ottoman coins, and so on. In 1326, after the death of Osman Ghazi, his son Orhan Ghazi took the throne. Orhan was born in 1281. Orhan was the second ruler of the Ottoman Empire. He is called the real founder of the Ottoman Empire. He followed the policies of his father in the empire and in his victories. In 1327 he conquered the Nicomedia city, which is presently named as Izmit. Orhan Ghazi founded the first Islamic university here. The cities Modrino and Gamblik were conquered in 1331 and 1333 respectively. In 1336 he conquered the Karesi city, which was affected by the political chancellor. Orhan was not in favor of wars just to spread his empire. That's why after conquering the Karesi city, he preferred to maintain his empire on the conquered cities for the next 20 years. Orhan built mosques, schools, and sarai in all newly conquered cities, especially in Bursa, the capital of the Ottoman Empire. That's why Bursa became an important Islamic center later. In 1356 Orhan conquered the Ankara city. The Sultan Orhan wanted to fulfill the saying of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, about the Constantinople victory. Following the saying, in 1358 he conquered the port of Tarnit, Fort Gallipoli, in which the forts of Jainakla, Absala and Rodosto were situated. This victory assisted every sultan who tried to conquer the Constantinople. The most important work of the Sultan Orhan was the formation of a permanent Islamic force, because before this act, at the time of war, people gathered willingly. This new army was named as Janissary, which means a new battalion, also recognized as the first organized army. Some biased historians did false propaganda and tried to allege that this great Islamic army was formed by snatching the children of Nazrani people on behalf of child tax and converting them into Islam forcefully. This false story was included in the history of Orhan and Murad Khan forcefully, but the fact is totally inverse. The concept of forcing a person to be a Muslim is not in Islam. The reality is that a lot of children were separated from their parents in all these wars and battles. The Muslim Ottoman emperors managed the growth, well-being and provide the surety of their shining future to the wandering children in all conquered areas. They were given intellectual, literature and religious education. Scholars and thinkers enhanced faithfulness, protection of religion and passion of fight for Allah in their hearts. That's why, whenever they walked into a battlefield, their slogan was Ghazi or martyred. The victories of Muslims and repeated failures of Nasrani people compelled biased historians to defame Muslims' history by allegations. Osman Gazi included the major part of western Anatolia in the Ottoman Empire, and for the first time, the Turkish army entered Europe in his reign. During the reign of Osman Gazi, the fame of the Ottoman Empire was doubled. Osman died in 1360. His tomb is situated in Bursa even till today. Murad I is one of the sultans who ruled the Ottoman Empire in the 14th century. He was born in 1326, ascended to throne in 1360, and died in 1389. His father was Osman Ghazi and his mother Lady Nilafar. When Murad I ascended the throne in 1360, his sons, Ibrahim and Halil, rebelled against him while he was on an expedition. He returned home and stopped this uprising immediately, killing his sons. After this incident, he passed a law forbidding crown princes to be appointed as viziers or grand viziers. In 1373, this time his 14-year-old son, Savci Bey, rebelled against the Sultan, but he also shared the same faith with his brothers. Shortly after Murat's accession, his forces penetrated western Thrace and forced the Byzantine Emperor John V Palaeologus to become a vassal. Murad I captured Adrianople in 1362 and made it the second capital city of the empire after Bursa province. In 1363 he captured Thrace, and then until 1369 he conquered Bulgaria, Macedonia, and Serbia. In 1366 a crusade commanded by Amadeus VI of Savoy rescued the Byzantines and occupied Gallipoli on the Dardanelles, but the Turks recaptured the town the next year. In 1371 Murad crushed a coalition of southern Serbian princes at Chernomen in the Battle of the Maritsa River, took the Macedonian towns of Drama, Kavala, and Sears, and won a significant victory over Bulgarian and Serbian coalition at Samokovo. These victories brought large territories under direct Ottoman rule and made the princes of northern Serbia and Bulgaria, as well as the Byzantine emperor, Murat's vassal. In the 1380s Murad resumed his jihad in the west. Sofia was taken in 1385 and Nice in 1386. Meanwhile, in Anatolia, Murad had extended his power as far as Tokat and consolidated his authority in Ankara. Through marriage, purchase, and conquest he also acquired territories from the principalities of Jermian, Tek, and Hamid. A coalition of Turkmen principalities led by the Karaman was formed to stem Ottoman expansion, but it was defeated at Konya. He reorganized the Janissaries into a standing paid army in the service of the Sultan, and he evolved the Ottoman governmental and military organization. His Grand Vizier, Jandar Ali Halil, reorganized the tax system and founded the Office of State Revenue, and in this way the collection of tax and tribute followed legal procedures. As a result, for the first time in Ottoman history, the income of the treasury was greater than its expenses. Murad I also collected taxes from various empires or states, including from the Serbians and Byzantines. During his 27 years of rule, Murad I made 37 important battles and won all of them. In 1387 or 1388 a coalition of northern Serbian princes and Bosnians stopped the Ottomans at Pločnik, but in 1389 Murad and his son Bayezid defeated them at the First Battle of Kosovo, although Murad was martyred by a Serbian who pretended to defect to the Ottoman camp. Murat's body was brought to Bursa and buried in his mausoleum at Çakırge district. After the death of Murat I, his son, Sultan Bayezid, became the next sultan. Under Murat I, the seats of some of the basic Ottoman imperial institutions were sown. The administrative military offices of Qazi Asker, Beylerbeyi or Commander-in-Chief, and Grand Vizier crystallized and were granted to persons outside the family of Osman I. The origins of the Janissary Corps and the disarm system through which the Janissaries were recruited are also traced to Murat's reign.